How's it going, everyone? DFS Phenom here. If you like my content, go ahead, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I greatly appreciate the support. Now let's get it. Alright, so let's jump into the Sunday slate. The first one I want to look at is the cover man, Julio Jones. This is only the 8th time in 2 years that he's under 8,000 for his salary. And the research I've been doing, I really like his spot going up against this Tampa Bay defense. In his last 3 games at home against Tampa Bay, he's put up 12 receptions for 253 yards and 2 touchdowns, 4 receptions, 66 yards with 1 touchdown, and 12 receptions for 162 yards and 1 touchdown. If you look what he did against Pittsburgh last week, Pittsburgh really shut him down. He only had 5 receptions for 62 yards, no touchdowns. But if you look at what he's done against Cincinnati, he had 29 Draftkings points on 9 receptions and 173 yards. So I'll look for him to produce that same game against this Tampa Bay defense. Next one I want to look at. So I'm going to go quarterback. I like a couple quarterbacks in this slate, but the first one I'm going to look at is Cam Newton. At 6,100, going up against this Washington defense that allowed Drew Brees to throw 3 touchdowns in the first half. I really like Cam Newton's spot. If you look what he did against the Giants last week, he had 18 points on 25 completions and 237 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I look for those stats to change. I really like his upside here. Definitely with him running, he could give you a scoring touchdown and a couple of passing touchdowns. So I really like Cam Newton in this spot going up against Washington defense. Next one I want to look at is running back. I want to pair Newton up with McCaffrey. McCaffrey's had an alright season this year. He's putting up 22.5 DraftKings points on the season. Last week against the Giants, he had 17 carries for 58 yards. He had 5 receptions for 35 yards and 1 touchdown. That's alright stats for McCaffrey. But what I like to see is what he did against Cincinnati. He had 28 attempts for 184 yards, 2 receptions for 10 yards, and he didn't score in the game. So I really like McCaffrey's spot here as well against Washington. If you looked at what they did against, if you looked at what the Saints did against Washington, Ingram coming back from a 4-game suspension, had 2 touchdowns on these guys. They shut down Kamara, but Ingram had 2 rushing touchdowns. So I definitely want to put McCaffrey. I want to stack McCaffrey with Newton. Next one I want to look at, I want to give you guys some value. I want to go down to Rodgers. If you guys don't know this already, T.Y. Hilton's out. If you look at what Rodgers done when T.Y. Hilton is out, going against New England, he had 11 targets. He had 66 yards and got you 14.5 points. At 4,500, that's roughly getting you 3 times the value. If you look at what he did at Houston, he had 11 targets for 85 yards. Philadelphia, he only had 4 targets for 14 yards. But the big thing I wanted to stress here is T.Y. Hilton's out. So you're going to see a lot of his targets go to Rodgers. Also, Ebron may be out. So that could also boost his targets. I know they say Eric Swoop is going to be taking over for Ebron if he's out. So that's another value to look at. Next one I want to look at for receiver. So I want to go up to JuJu SmithSchuster. He's getting 20 Draftkings points over the season. If you look at what he's done the last 2 games against Atlanta and Baltimore, he really hasn't scored him much. But go up against Tampa Bay, he had 23 Draftkings points. In Kansas City, he had 34 Draftkings points. I look for this Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game to be a shootout. I also look for Cincinnati to have Antonio Brown's number again. I was just reading a stat where he has not went over 100 yards against this Bengals defense. So I look for Brown, not necessarily to be shut down, but to be limited. And I look for those targets to go to JuJu SmithSchuster. But what I also like about this stat is if you look at how many targets he's getting through the 4 weeks or 5 weeks, he's gone 8, 19, 11, 11, and 4. So I really like his target volume. Again, I think that Brown's going to be limited. I don't think he's going to be shut down, but I think he's going to be limited. JuJu SmithSchuster is going to get a lot of those targets. So I look for him to have, maybe not double digits, but 7, 8 targets that game. That's going to produce into fantasy points. Tight ends. There's a few tight ends I like. First one I like is Brait. JuJu Howard's out. So look for Brait to get a lot of the targets. He hasn't really done a whole lot. But with Winston back, he's getting 4 targets in the last 2 games. 29 yards, 34 yards. He's getting 11 to 12 Draftkings points. So at 3,700, he's getting about 4 times your value. For a cheap tight end, I really like this play. I also like Cincinnati's tight end, Uzomah. I probably just butchered his name, but sorry about that. So you know that Eifert's out with a ankle surgery. He's done for the season. Croft is out for this game. So they're going to have to rely on their third string tight end at 3,000. He's getting almost 6.5 Draftkings points against Miami. If you look at what Atlanta did with Hooper, he had 16 Draftkings points going up against Pittsburgh. So I look for Cincinnati to also jump on that tight end train. I look for him to see a lot of targets. Maybe not 16 Draftkings points, but 10, 12 gives you 4 times your value. I really like this tight end in this spot. Next one I want to look at. Just saw him. Eric Swoop. Like I said, Ebron's going to be out, possibly out for this game. So you have Doyle out, you have Ebron out, and you also have Swoop to come in. It's another third string tight end. He had 3 targets for 44 yards last game. He had 1 touchdown as well. That's going up against New England as well. So you got you 13 Draftkings points at 2,500. You know, he's getting you almost 6 times your value. And he gives you a lot of salary relief. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug him in to my lineup. It gives you 4,400 left. We haven't picked a defense yet. Go through a couple of defenses I like. I like the Ravens. They got you 12 DraftKings points last week. Going against the Browns. So they're averaging about 8 points a game. I like the Panthers. Go up against this Washington defense that only scored roughly, I think it was like 13 points last week. I really like this Carolina Panthers defense as well. Last week against the Giants, they got 12 DraftKings points. So in 5 weeks, 4 games, they got you double-digit DraftKings points, and they're only 2,600. So I'm just going to plug these guys in. So that leaves you with 5,400. I want to talk about another value pick at running back. I don't mind TJ Yeldon. Fournette's out again this week. And if you look at what he's done last 2 weeks with Fournette out against New York Jets, he had 24 DraftKings points. In Kansas City, he had 26 DraftKings points. At 6,400, going up against his Dallas defense. I just read somewhere where Sean Lee maybe, I know he's injured. I'm not going to say he's out, but I know he's dealing with an injury. It's really been a soft defense in Dallas, almost like a rebuilding year. So I really like Yeldon against this defense. I think he can produce you, at least his 18 fantasy points or more. But if you look at what he's done on the ground, he had 53 yards on 10 attempts. That's 5.3 yards per carry. He also had 10 targets in the passing game. He caught 8 of them for 69 yards. So he didn't even have a touchdown, and he got you 26 DraftKings points. Oh, I'm sorry, he had 1 touchdown. So 26 DraftKings points against Kansas City. Really like his value. That leaves you with 4,400. So at 4,400, Lamar Miller is going to be playing for Houston. If something changes in that, I wouldn't mind going with Alfred Blue. And this kind of just backs up what I said about TJ Yeldon going against Dallas. This backup running back for Houston, which I think he should be the starter, put 19 DraftKings points against Dallas. So it just goes up against the Dallas defense where, running game and so forth. I think Yeldon will do just fine in that spot. But again, watch for Lamar Miller. I know he's starting right now, but he's dealing with an injury. So Alfred Blue may be a nice little value pickup. Another one I wouldn't mind looking at is Kirk. going against San Francisco last week. He put up 18 Draftkings points. He had 4 targets, 3 receptions, 85 yards, 1 touchdown. He also had 5 yards on the ground. So that could be another value play for me. I know with Rosen, they said that they've kind of had a chemistry going on. So look for him to be a good value pick as well. Hopefully my picks help you out today. I greatly appreciate the support. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. I'm getting a lot of subscribers lately, but I want to keep boosting them. So if you guys got any feedback on how to make these videos better or what you'd like to see, leave me a comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.